Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 10 Part 27 based on novel. So let's start. Unite the Beast War region? In the Great Hall, the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio were a little taken aback. Soon after, they lifted their heads and looked at the smiling Lin Dong, before speaking without any change in their expressions. What do you mean? The three of you should understand the meaning behind my words. Lin Dong grinned before he continued in an inattentive manner. The Beast War region is like loose sand, in other words, a terrible mess. The only way to fight Mang Mountain is to gather the many factions and form an alliance. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we will not be able to resist them. The Beast War region is chaotic to begin with. How can it be so easy to unite? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander coldly snorted and voiced his thoughts. There are indeed many factions within the Beast War region. However, most of them are attached to our four great factions. As long as this is our intention, the matter will be more or less decided. Lin Dong smilingly said. Although Deep Lightning Mountain was currently rapidly expanding, it was still far from the level that Lin Dong needed. Yet, it was pointless to be anxious in the face of this situation. After all, one might end up choking if one ate too quickly. However, the present situation was a rather good opportunity. If it was really possible to unite the factions within the Beast War region, Lin Dong was confident in gradually making Deep Lightning Mountain the main faction of this alliance, even if it was impossible to directly obtain full control of it. At that time, it was likely that even the three other great demon commanders would have no choice but to integrate themselves into Deep Lightning Mountain. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander had an indescribable expression. They had long thought of forming an alliance. From a certain point of view, it was indeed not difficult if they were willing. However, once they formed a new huge faction like Mang Mountain, who would be the leader of this faction? The similarly cunning three great demon commanders had naturally also thought about the hidden ambition of Lin Dong to unify all the factions under himself. However, the power of their three factions were on par with each other, and it was basically impossible to make one submit to either of the other two. We merely need to deal with Mang Mountain. There is no need to go so far, right? The Ghost Condor Demon Commander laughed dryly. He possessed absolute control in his own faction. However, once an alliance was formed, his authority would naturally diminish. If there is a Mang Mountain today, there might be a Minute Mountain tomorrow. Don't tell me that we are going to do this again when the time comes. This is a solution that solves the root of the problem. Moreover, even though the three of you are well known in the Beast War region, you only possess a small territory here. If we were to unite, our strength will definitely soar. In future, our territory might no longer be limited to the Beast War region. Lin Dong smiled and spoke in a faint voice. Of course, if the three of you are satisfied with being overlords of your own respective small territories, take it as if I did not say anything. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio's hands abruptly tightened after hearing Lin Dong's last few words as excitement flashed deep within their eyes. All of them were quite powerful and the ambition in their hearts was naturally not small. They had thought of trying to make a name for themselves, but from a certain point of view, they had reached their limits in their present state. None of them possessed an overly shocking background. Although the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander had some relation with the Dragon Tribe, it was clear that he had barely any say within it. This was despite him having a strength that could match some elders. Therefore, even though they might be able to become an overlord of a territory within this Beast War region, they would at most be slightly well known in the entire demonic beast world. Therefore, an enormous faction consisting of a united region like Mang Mountain did not give them any face and had attacked as it pleased. However, the three of them had no solution to this sullen state. Even if we form an alliance, do you have any way to give us a background that others will not dare to look down upon? The Golden Ape Demon Commander's expression fluctuated as he continued in a deep voice. The reason Mang Mountain can rule over the Mang Mountain region is because that place is within the territory managed by the Nine Phoenix tribe. The five great leaders of Mang Mountain have also all pledged their loyalty to the Nine Phoenix tribe. Nine Phoenix tribe. Lin Dong was taken aback. He clearly did not expect that Mang Mountain would be related to the Nine Phoenix tribe, one of the 4 overlord tribes. It was no wonder that even the Golden Ape Demon Commander trio was so wary of them. We are aware that you have a brother from the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. However, even he will have difficulty getting the Celestial Demon Martin tribe to back us, right? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander said in a cold voice. Lin Dong glanced at the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander and said, "My brother is temporarily unable to represent the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. However, I can pull the Dragon tribe to our side." Dragon tribe. The Golden Ape Demon Commander and Ghost Condor Demon Commander were stunned. Soon after, they looked towards the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander with strange expressions. In this place, only the latter had some relation with the Dragon tribe. Yet, Lin Dong had spoken such words in front of him, making this scene seem a little comical. The Dragon tribe has always been neutral. It is impossible for them to agree to back us. The Dragon tribe has never given me any help over the years while I was establishing Blood Dragon Hall. Even less needs to be said for yourself. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander ridiculed. You are you, I am I? Lin Dong slightly lowered his eyes. His faint voice also contained some mockery. What right do you have to utter these words? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander was furious as he sneered. If you believe that you can get us to agree to your suggestions with these words, I'm afraid that you are a little too naive. Heaven Dragon Demon Commander, you better be a little more polite. Little Flame's eyes were filled with a baleful aura as he stared at the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander and shouted. Lin Dong waved his hand. His eyes contained some playfulness as he stared at the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander. Soon after, he gently bent his long fingers as a purplish gold light flashed and appeared. A purplish gold dragon seal was held in his hand as he lazily asked, Heaven Dragon Demon Commander, do you recognize this thing? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's eyes immediately shot towards Lin Dong's hand. Quickly after, the Golden Ape Demon Commander and Ghost Condor Demon Commander saw the sneering look on the former's face stiffened little by little as rich shock and disbelief replaced it. This is the Dragon Tribe's punishment seal? Why is it in your hands? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander was stupefied. He immediately cried out in anger, How dare you steal the Dragon Tribe's punishment seal? Are you seeking death? Do you know how serious of a crime this is? Crime? This was given to me by the Dragon Tribe's Grand Elder. What crime have I committed? Lin Dong smilingly looked at the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander as his eyes gradually became ice cold. I am the new punishment elder of the Dragon Tribe. Do you know that as a member of the Dragon Tribe, you have already committed a crime by contradicting me? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's expression changed as he raged, Nonsense. How can an outsider like yourself take the position of the Dragon Tribe's punishment elder? Lin Dong had an indifferent expression. He slowly stood up, holding the punishment seal in his hand as his skin gradually became akin to crystal. An indescribably pure and mighty pressure swept out from within his body and enveloped the large hall. The surrounding air seemed to freeze as this mighty pressure spread, causing even the Golden Ape Demon Commander duo to have grave expressions. They could clearly feel the pureness of this pressure. Even an expert who possessed the most authentic dragon bloodline did not possess such a pure dragon pressure. The both of them turned their eyes towards the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander, only to find that the latter's face was pale. As a member of the Dragon Tribe, it was obvious that the pressure emitted by the primal dragon bones within Lin Dong's body greatly suppressed him. This pressure. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's eyes trembled as they stared at Lin Dong. It was as though he was peering into Lin Dong's body. The crystal-clear bones deep in his body appeared just like a coiling jade dragon. This ancient being gave off an endless pressure. These dragon bones, could it be that you actually possess the ancient dragon bone? The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander involuntarily cried out. He could sense just how powerful the dragon bones in Lin Dong's body were. It was likely that only the ancient dragon bones possessed such dense and pure pressure. The corners of Lin Dong's mouth curled slightly, but he did not bother to give any explanation. It was likely that the ancient dragon bones were already able to deter the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander. Hence, he did not elaborate. It was always best to hold back a little. I made a trip to the ancient dragon transformation pool. Now, are there any other questions? Lin Dong asked in a flat voice. Ancient Dragon Transformation Pool. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander muttered to himself. That was a sacred land in his heart. The dragon bone in his body was only at the middle grade. If he could enter the Dragon Transformation Pool, it would likely raise the purity of his bloodline. Unfortunately, he did not possess the qualifications to enter that place. Although he was also considered a member of the dragon tribe, he was merely a fringe member, and it was likely that he would even have difficulty being accepted by the dragon tribe if not for his samsara stage strength. Heaven Dragon greets the Punishment Elder. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander finally recovered from his absent-minded state. He hurriedly got up and greeted Lin Dong with the courtesy of the dragon tribe. The dragon tribe had strict rules. Additionally, the Punishment Elder possessed an authority which was second only to the tribe leader. He understood that if he was to offend Lin Dong, who was the Punishment Elder, he would only end up suffering. At this moment, he had finally kept all the disrespect he had for Lin Dong. The punishment seal in Lin Dong's possession had a suppressive effect against the members of the dragon tribe. Hence, he understood that he would likely end up in an extremely miserable state if Lin Dong used the punishment seal against him. Lin Dong quietly sighed in relief upon seeing that this untamable and proud fellow had submitted. Soon after, he waved his hand and said, I am the new Punishment Elder of the Dragon Tribe. If we form an alliance, I will let all of you have the protection of the Dragon Tribe. Now, do any of you have any other questions? The three great demon commanders exchanged glances with each other. Heaven Dragon, although it is very difficult for an outsider to enter the ancient dragon transformation pool, I might be able to think of a way for you to enter in future. Lin Dong smiled faintly and said. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's body shook upon hearing this. He lifted his head and looked at Lin Dong with somewhat trembling eyes as he quickly nodded in a violent manner. I will obey Elder's orders. This temptation Lin Dong offered made it impossible for the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander to reject. As for the two of you, both of you have already met my second brother. He is one of the potential successors for the position of tribe leader in the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. If he succeeds, he will control the Celestial Demon Martin tribe in the future. At that time, we will have some relation with both the Celestial Demon Martin tribe and the Dragon tribe. Both of you should understand what this means. Lin Dong turned his eyes towards the Golden Ape Demon Commander duo and warmly smiled. The Golden Ape Demon Commander duo opened and closed their mouths as a searing heat rose from deep within their eyes. If they really had two of the Overlord tribes backing them, it was likely that their reputation would shake the demonic beast world. This honor was rarely seen even in the entire demonic beast world. Therefore, after a brief struggle, the two of them faced each other before heavily nodding. Good. Lin Dong looked at those two who had finally agreed as a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Once they boarded his ship, it was not going to be easy to leave. The atmosphere within the hall became relaxed after the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio nodded. Standing at the side, Chen Tong and the rest stared at Lin Dong with a stunned expression on their faces. After all, they didn't expect that Lin Dong was actually able to convince the three top factions, who have dominated the Beast War region for decades, in less than an hour's time. As natives of the Beast War region, they were well aware of how chaotic this place was. Evidently, it was no easy task to unify this region. The biggest obstacle was naturally the three great demon commanders. Yet, this biggest obstacle was shattered by Lin Dong's smiling words alone. Gaining their approval meant that it was genuinely possible to unify the Beast War region. Therefore, one can easily imagine that after the union was completed, a new and powerful faction will be born in the Beast War region. Moreover, that faction would definitely surpass any other faction that has ever existed in the Beast War region. In fact, it would possess a solid reputation even when placed in the entire demonic beast world. He is indeed Lord Lin Dong. Chen Tong's group quietly exchanged glances with each other. They could see shock and marvel in each other's eyes. It was likely that the only person in the entire Beast War region who could pull off a feat like this was Lin Dong. Since the three of you have agreed, we can release the news. However, the Beast War region is a chaotic place. Even if we want to form an alliance, there will likely be some obstacles. However, I believe that the three of you should know how to handle these obstacles, am I right? Lin Dong looked at the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander as he smilingly said. You can be rest assured. It is only natural for there to be objections for such a large-scale move. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander parted his lips into a smile. His smile was filled with ferocity. They were well aware of the culture in the Beast War region. However, this was not a big problem for them. All they had to do was to kill anyone who dared to protest. After which, it was likely that most factions would not dare to protest. Blood would be inevitably spilled in a situation like this. Lin Dong nodded slightly. Following which, he gently leaned on his stone chair and said, this merger cannot be completed in a few days' time. However, since we are on the same boat, we must work together. Of course, we must work together to get through the difficult situation we are currently in. Tell me about that so-called Sky Battle Arena. I want to find out how domineering Mang Mountain is. The Golden Ape Demon Commander nodded. He paused for a moment before saying, if a fight breaks out between two huge regions, it will be akin to war and it will be a draining fight for both parties. Therefore, Mang Mountain chose the Sky Battle Arena format. Putting it simply, it is merely a fighting arena. Only those who are close, or have reached the Samsara stage can participate in the Sky Battle Arena. The Sky Battle Arena has a total of 5 rounds, with the winner of 3 rounds being the victor. Each party will send 5 members. It is likely that Mang Mountain will send its 5 great chiefs. On our side, however, there are only 3 of us who have reached the Samsara stage. Of course, if we include both you and the Commander Yang, we will not lose out to them. It is still a little difficult for Little Flame to fight a Samsara stage expert on his own. Lin Dong frowned and said, Big brother, there is no fixed format for the Sky Battle Arena. Therefore, I can bring along my tiger-devouring army if I participate. Little Flame parted his lips and laughed. If he was accompanied by his tiger-devouring army, which had grown much stronger than before, he would definitely be able to deal with a Samsara stage expert. Lin Dong nodded after hearing this. What happens if we lose? The Golden Ape Demon Commander trio exchanged glances with each other. Finally, they spoke in a deep voice, we will have to surrender half of the Beast War region to Mang Mountain. Of course, if they lose, they will also have to give us half of the Mang Mountain region. Even with his calm temperament, Lin Dong's eyelids twitched after hearing these words. Half of the Beast War region. Just how massive was that? How much resources did it contain? This fight was truly a massive gamble. If we do not agree to use this Sky Battle Arena format to resolve this issue, Mang Mountain will start a war. Should we end up being defeated, we will lose control over the entire Beast War region. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander said. Lin Dong nodded. Compared to a huge war, it was obvious that this Sky Battle Arena was far simpler. If that Celestial Demon Martin brother of yours is present, we will have no need to fear Mang Mountain's 5 great chiefs. The Ghost Condor Demon Commander said. Lin Dong tilted his head to glance at Little Flame. The latter shook his head and said, Second brother has returned to the Celestial Demon Martin tribe a few days ago. It seems like he had some urgent matters to deal with. Therefore, I am afraid that he will not be able to participate in this fight. A disappointed look flashed across the Ghost Condor Demon Commander's face when he heard this. If Little Martin was around, even the 9 Phoenix tribe would be a little wary of his Celestial Demon Martin identity. There is no need to worry. Since we have agreed to an alliance, I will naturally help all of you to get through this difficult situation. Lin Dong lowered his eyes. His voice was calm and without ripples. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio looked at Lin Dong, who had remained consistently calm throughout their conversation, before they nodded gently. They could clearly sense that Lin Dong had become much stronger, after having not seen him for 2 months. Additionally, the pressure that was vaguely emitted from his body caused them to be startled. As they recalled how formidable Lin Dong was when he fought against them 2 months ago, their hearts also began to relax. This person in front of them could not be judged using common logic. After all, this was something that they had experienced personally. Moreover, they were not hoping to defeat Mang Mountain. As long as they could match up to them and force the latter to give up, it could be considered as their victory. As to whether they could defeat the great chiefs from the other party in a genuine fight, this was something that they did not consider right now. After all, they clearly knew how difficult it was, even after including Lindong and Little Flame into their alliance. We have yet to give a reply to the battle invitation from Mang Mountain. This was because we were unable to find sufficient people to fight against the 5 of them. Now, can we finally give them our reply? The Golden Ape Demon Commander looked at Lindong and asked. Give them our reply. Lindong smiled and said softly. All right. A fighting intent surged on the faces of the Golden Ape Demon Commander trio. They had been pushed around and forced into a rather miserable state by Mang Mountain over these past few days. However, they were constantly giving in because they were afraid of the other party's strength and their background. However, right now, they no longer had any reason to fear because of Lindong. Since they had pushed them to their limits, there was no longer a need to endure any longer. Besides, since we are going to form an alliance, our alliance should naturally have a name. Since this plan is suggested by young brother Lindong, in that case, you should be the one, the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander smiled. His attitude towards Lindong was suddenly much warmer than before. After all, as a member of the Dragon Tribe, he clearly knew what the Punishment Elder represented. This alliance is formed by our 4 factions. Let's call it 4 Titans Palace. What do you all say? Lindong softly laughed and said. The name 4 Titans is indeed domineering. The Golden Ape Demon Commander trio muttered and nodded in agreement. Since our alliance has been formed, let's reply to the battle invitation. We will duke it out with Mang Mountain at the demonic beast ancient plains. The eyes of the trio were filled with excitement. They knew that once news of this incident spread, it would cause the entire Beast War region to churn and boil. Such a big event could be considered as the grandest event that took place in the Beast War region over the last century. The Beast War region was a little chaotic during this recent period of time. The uproar from the Divine Item Mountain range had only just subsided when Mang Mountain region invaded. This commotion could be considered earth-shaking, and it caused everyone in the Beast War region to become anxious and frightened. Everyone was well aware of the strength of Mang Mountain. In a one-on-one fight, they would definitely be able to crush any one of the 3 great demon commanders' factions. A majority of the factions in the Beast War region allied themselves with one of the 3 great demon commanders' factions. If those 3 were defeated, it would have serious implications for them. Additionally, there was a high likelihood that the 3 great demon commanders would lose. This was startling obvious from how the 3 great demon commanders refused to formally reply to the battle invitation from Mang Mountain for such a long period of time. Should the 3 great demon commanders wound up defeated, the Beast War region would be under the control of Mang Mountain region. At that time, the current situation would be completely re-established. This was undoubtedly a catastrophic blow for many of the native factions. Hence, the entire Beast War region was living in fear over this period of time. However, they also felt quite helpless. After all, they were not qualified to interfere in a fight at this level. The only thing they could do was hope that the 3 great demon commanders' factions could withstand the pressure from Mang Mountain. However, while the entire Beast War region was in a state of panic, a piece of news finally emerged from within the 3 great demon commanders' factions. That piece of news did not contain much information. Nevertheless, it shook the entire Beast War region instantly. Deep Lightning Mountain, Blood Dragon Hall, Ghost Condor Stream and Golden Ape Mountain had announced the formation of an alliance called the 4 Titans Palace. The Beast War region erupted into an uproar the moment the news spread. In fact, many individuals were completely stunned. After all, none of them expected that these 4 massive factions, who were usually at odds with each other, would actually form an alliance. Moreover, everyone knew that Deep Lightning Mountain had just engaged in a huge fight with the 3 other factions 2 months ago. However, despite being overwhelmed by shock, many powerful individuals in the Beast War region began to rejoice. After all, they clearly knew that this alliance was formed in order to counter the invasion from Mang Mountain. This was indeed the only way to strike fear in the other party's heart. Many people maintained an optimistic, curious, yet puzzled attitude towards this alliance. That was because it was the only alliance formed in the Beast War region in 100 years. In fact, some sharper individuals vaguely felt that the chaotic Beast War region might end up changing its past ways. Moreover, if this entire region was to unify and form a single entity like Mang Mountain, it was likely that the Beast War region would possess quite a high status even within the entire Demon region. Of course, the precondition was that this newly formed Four Titans Palace could truly survive the thunderstorm-like attacks of Mang Mountain. Otherwise, this alliance will only disappoint and suffer an early demise. With this thought in mind, countless pairs of eyes in the Beast War region and even other surrounding regions like the Mang Mountain region were all focused on the demonic beast Ancient Plains, the place where the fight would be held. This fight will determine whether this newly formed alliance will prosper or fall in defeat. 3 days swiftly passed by amidst this extremely heated atmosphere. The commotion that was created, because of the fact that 4 of the largest factions in the Beast War region had formed an alliance, was continuously accumulating. Finally, it caused the atmosphere of the entire Beast War region to turn boiling hot. Although this alliance would inevitably be disadvantageous to certain factions, the 3 great demon commanders' factions were still in charge of this region. Therefore, under their instruction, the formation of this alliance, which was also forced by circumstances, became an immutable fact. The only thing that they had to worry about was the sky battle arena held by Mang Mountain. If this newly formed Four Titans Palace was able to survive this storm, it would be truly able to tower over the Beast War region and squeeze into the ranks of the top-tier factions in the demonic beast world. On the other hand, if they failed, this so-called alliance would become nothing but a joke. At that time, half of the Beast War region would also be taken over by the Mang Mountain. Moreover, the 4 great factions will lose all respect and it would be difficult for them to advance in the future. Hence, everyone's focal point was the fight at the Sky Battle Arena that was about to take place. Demonic Beast Ancient Plains. These were endless ancient plains located at the border of the Beast War region and the Mang Mountain. Typically, this place was quiet and peaceful. As the land was barren, there were hardly any factions here. Therefore, this was a relatively peaceful and deserted place. However, this plains had turned into the most eye-catching place within a short few days. There was naturally no need to explain the reason behind this. The originally empty area in the middle of the demonic beast ancient plains was already extremely noisy. Countless rushing wind sounds appeared continuously from all over the place, as many figures swarmed over like a swarm of locusts. Finally, they landed on the ground. From a distance away, the black mass of people looked just like a surging black ocean. The scale of this event was even more majestic compared to the event held at the Divine Item Mountain Range 2 months ago. Clearly, there were many powerful factions in the demonic beast world, who were paying close attention to the fight between these 2 regions. The scorching sun hung high in the azure sky. One hot wave after another accompanied by buzzing noises spread and it caused the temperature of the plains to gradually rise. The middle of the plains was a spacious empty ground. However, no one dared to step foot into that area. That was because they were well aware that it was a very dangerous place. Many pairs of eyes were roaming across this deserted plains. Meanwhile, their eyes contained a flicker of anticipation. Clearly, everyone was eager to find out the results of the fight that was about to take place. It is really unexpected. The 3 great demon commanders actually chose to form an alliance. Aren't they the ones typically most at odds with one another? Moreover, the Deep Lightning Mountain is actually qualified to join them. Many private conversations were taking place all over the plains. However, the ones who said these comments were typically not from the Beast War region. Otherwise, they would have known of the big battle that took place 2 months ago. But, your information is really outdated. The current Deep Lightning Mountain is very different from before. 2 months ago, they even fought evenly against the 3 great demon commanders at the Divine Item Mountain Range. Their strength is not inferior to that of the 3 great demon commanders' factions. Therefore, they will naturally be included in this alliance. I see. However, isn't it a little too naive to believe that this last-minute alliance can really oppose the Mang Mountain? Backing Mang Mountain, is the Nine Phoenix tribe? Who knows? However, it is rumored that the new demon commander of the Deep Lightning Mountain is related to the celestial demon Martin tribe. I wonder if this is for real. Oh, is that so? It's no wonder. Various conversations spread across the plains. Most of them were information regarding the Deep Lightning Mountain. It was likely that many of them were quite curious about this faction in the Beast War region, who had risen rapidly in recent times. Their curious conversations continued for around an hour or so, before everyone sensed the natural yuan power around them vibrating vigorously. Immediately, they turned their heads before they saw countless figures whistling over from the distant northern sky. This scene appeared as though the sun was being blotted out. The Four Titans Palace has arrived. Everyone looked at the group, which came swarming over from all directions. Immediately, their spirits were uplifted. It seems like the stars of this show have finally arrived. Many figures came rushing over from a great distance away. Finally, they directly landed in the middle of the plains. The land seemed to have trembled when they arrived. It seemed as though the elites from the Four Titans Palace have all showed up. Moreover, behind them, the other demon commanders were also leading their respective factions. That was because these demon commanders typically relied on the three great demon commanders. Now that the three great demon commanders established the Four Titans Palace, they were naturally roped into it. Therefore, this group could be considered as the elite fighting force of the entire Beast War region. Such a lineup caused the expressions of many onlookers to turn grave. If they were to start a war with Mang Mountain, there was no telling how massive the bloodbath would be. Fortunately, both parties could not afford to pay that price. Hence, they ultimately chose to duke it out via the relatively gentler sky battle arena. Many pairs of eyes looked at the black mass of people. Other than the familiar three great demon commanders, there were two other figures standing at the front. One of them resembled a metal tower and he looked exceptionally menacing. The other was a tall and skinny figure and his youthful face wore a warm smile. His appearance seemed at odds with the large number of troops, with frightening and murderous aura, standing behind him. However, some of those who were well connected knew that this seemingly gentle-looking young man had forced the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander into a miserable state, with just the strength of the initial profound death stage, back at the Divine Item Mountain range. Why hasn't Mang Mountain arrived yet? Lin Dong looked at the scorching sun hanging in the sky. After which, he glanced at the crowd, which stretched on endlessly. Promptly, there was a stunned expression in his eyes. Clearly, he did not expect this event to draw such a large crowd. They should be arriving soon. Standing beside him, the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander replied. Meanwhile, there was a menacing expression surging onto his face. A bunch of mongrel birds. I have never seen eye to eye with them. Today, I will meet them in battle and let them understand that our Beast War region is no easy pushover. What tribe does the five great chiefs of Mang Mountain belong to? Lin Dong turned his head and asked. He did not know much about the five great chiefs of Mang Mountain. The five great chiefs of Mang Mountain are also called the Five Kings. They are divided into the Northern, Southern, Eastern, Western Kings and the Mysterious King. The Mysterious King is their leader. The Ghost Condor Demon Commander said, other than the Mysterious King, the remaining four are from the Blood Vulture tribe, which is one of the 8 king tribes. This tribe is extremely close to the 9 Phoenix tribe. Moreover, the 4 of them are blood brothers with the same surname Teng. Their names are Feng, Wind, Lin, Wood, Hua, Fire, Shan, Mountain. Strictly speaking, they have quite a reputation in the demonic beast world. Members of the Blood Vulture tribe, Lin Dong nodded. They actually came from one of the 8 king tribes. That mysterious king is called Luo Tong. He is not a member of the Blood Vulture tribe. Instead, he comes from the 9 Phoenix tribe. The expression of the Ghost Condor Demon Commander became a little more solemn upon mentioning this mysterious king. It seems like he was rather wary of the latter. Lin Dong's pupils focused. This person actually came from one of the 4 overlord tribes. It's no wonder Ghost Condor and the rest were afraid of him. Strictly speaking, Mang Mountain was a faction aligned with the 9 Phoenix tribe. Moreover, the Nine Phoenix tribe was not neutral like the Dragon tribe. Instead, they enjoyed flaunting their strength and showcasing their status in the demonic beast world. As such, it seems like Mang Mountain was no ordinary faction. It was likely that an earth-shaking battle was going to occur today. Lin Dong gently clenched his long hands. There was a trace of excitement and the desire to fight rising in his eyes. After the Four Titans Palace arrived, there was still no news from Mang Mountain. However, Lin Dong's group was not anxious. Instead, they shut their eyes and took a rest. The din, which enveloped this area, was isolated. This wait lasted for 4 hours. Just as everyone were beginning to feel a little impatient, Lin Dong suddenly opened his gently shut eyes. He could sense a shocking fluctuation heading towards them from afar. They are about to arrive, Lin Dong said softly, while his eyes stared intently towards the western sky. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio had also detected something at this moment. Immediately, a tinge of shock flashed across their eyes. Clearly, they were shocked by the fact that Lin Dong was actually able to detect the activity in the distance before they could do so. The world suddenly turned dim in the less than 2 minutes it took for them to cast their attention towards the western sky. All the noise that had enveloped the place abruptly disappeared. Countless pairs of eyes looked into the distant horizon. At that spot, blood-colored clouds were rushing over at a frightening speed. As the blood-colored clouds slowly closed in, everyone finally realized that it was a group of people wearing blood-red armor. Many sharp pair of eyes, which were filled with brutality, were present under the armors. Amidst these blood-red clouds, there was a 10,000 feet large flag fluttering with the wind. Beneath the flag was a giant dark red bird. 9 different colored tails were present behind that large bird, giving it a brilliant yet dangerous appearance. Mang Mountain has arrived. Exclamations erupted when everyone saw the blood-red clouds, which were being accompanied by a frightening aura. At the same time, there was a tinge of anticipation in the voices. It seems like they were growing increasingly impatient as they waited for this huge fight to take place. Ha ha, for Titan's Palace? Do you think that an alliance that you guys formed at the very last moment is actually worthy of the name Four Titans? You truly do not know your own limits if you wish to oppose my Mang Mountain with this. Many blood-red clouds arrived at the middle of the plains. A loud laughter, which was filled with an arrogant ridicule, ricocheted across the land. The blood-red clouds gradually disappeared before they turned into many huge groups of people. Standing right in front were 5 individuals hovering in the sky. Their eyes were filled with ridicule as they stared at Lin Dong's distant group. This video will end here.